Alright, so where we left off last time, we were working on our skill unlocking screen. And now it's time to do a little fixing up and get our control navigation working, being able to select each skill, which right now is just a button, and actually unlocking some skills and adding them to our player instance. So for visibility's sake, I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to darken up the background on the panel so that we're not seeing the HUD through the opacity here. So I'm going to pop this up to a wait a tick. What's going on here? That should be hiding my panel. That's very peculiar. This canvas is a screen space overlay, and so is this one. Sort order. There we go. These canvases don't work by the same methodology that the other controls work in, where children of the canvas will display in an order from bottom to top based on the order they exist in as children of the canvas. Not to be confused with children of the corn. But this higher sort order will let us make sure that this canvas always appears over top of our other canvases. Or rather, it'll always appear on top of canvases that have a sort order less than 1. So, in that case, my opacity, though, is still an issue, because you would still be able to see the rest of the scene behind what's going on here. So, I'm going to go ahead and let's pop this up to like 200. We'll leave it a little opaque. And for our background color, I'm not really a huge fan of this white. Yeah, that's alright. Though I am seeing that we have this slight border. You probably can't see it on the video. But there is this slight border where even though the canvas is set to stretch at 0, 0, 0, and our display is set to 16:9 aspect ratio, we're still a little bit off. So we're actually going to pop our margins here to be -5 top, left, right, bottom on our transform rectangle. Stretch it a little bit outside of where we are allowed to. And just for consistency's sake, I'm going to go ahead and change the background color on my other screen, even though this guy's not going to be visible to start with. You have to be careful when you're doing your design as well, because if you have more than one screen enabled, your opacity is going to have a combined effect, because you're taking two layers that have an opacity greater than 0 and putting them on top of each other on top of another scene that is being obscured in the background. Your opacity is going to be affected by that second layer. But the fact of the matter is, all of these are disabled from the start anyways, so that's really just a design time experience. Where'd my navigator go? Because actually after start I should make sure that I'm doing a hide all, just to make sure we're shutting that down. Though my canvas itself is actually disabled when we start the game, just for clarity's sake, make sure we're hiding everything from the start. Or consistency's sake, rather. Now, let's see here. So, if I'm going to be doing some unlock skills here, first off, I need to have a skill that is initially selected. And I want that to be the one that is in the most top left position to start with. So, unlock skills. I've got a unlock skills controller, I believe, that has nothing in it. So it's going to drop this guy on here. I might go ahead and move this to a background object later, or a parent class rather. Make an abstract player menu screen controller class or something like that, and deal with this initial focus and whatever other common functionality comes out of making these two screens. It's my usual method. I typically don't do base class first. I usually get one or more sibling level classes and extrapolate repeated behavior from there. So if that is not equal to null, and I think this is event system dot current dot set focus, set selected game object. Now when I pop in here, our top left guy should be selected. No, wait. That's not true. I need to pull this in. So bash is going to be our selected object. That's interesting. So if you see down there in the bottom left, my focus has moved into the player HUD, and now I'm using my left and right stick to change the sliders for my HP, SP, and stamina. If I hit up 3 times here, now I'm back at the top. I did start with the selected item as the top left, so that worked correctly, but the selected state wasn't actually set. So that is quite annoying. Now, so how do I deal with this? So I've got my HUD and I've got my event system. This guy has a first selected object on here. That's what I'm setting, I believe. Send navigation events true or false. Standalone input module, I guess, tells me the navigation commands. So anything tied to the input, horizontal, vertical, submit, or cancel are used for those navigation and forward and back controls. Repeat delay, input actions per second, force module active. I'm not sure what that does, but the other two seem to deal with the number of events it can receive over time. And we got this touch input module that is going to deal with the touchscreen control. And I do know, having worked with the Oculus VR headset, that if you want to do any kind of UI control with the Oculus, there's a VR input module that I think is available on the wiki, or it might be a part of the Oculus integration package for Unity that you need to import onto the event system for that stuff to take place. So that if you look at the button, it goes into the selected state, and if you click on the button on the side of the device of the Gear VR, it will perform the submit. The back button does cancel, and so on and so forth. But So how do I restrict this then? Because quite frankly, so I guess my answer is I need to turn off the HUD while the menu is active and vice versa. It would be a way to do that. But what do I have? So what do I actually have in event system here? Current, already selecting, current input module. Do I have anything where I can restrict this to a certain sort order? Like I only navigate on objects in sort order 1 or something like that. First selected, last selected game object. Game object was selected first. That's obsolete. Yeah, that doesn't really help me too much. Is point over game object. Is pointer over game object, sorry. Set selected I'm using, and set selected has a pointer information thing. Update modules. Recalculates the internal list of base input modules. Yeah, so UI.selectable is the base class that some of these things like button derive from. Now, current selection state. So that should have been triggered by setting the selected item. Now, is there something to do a update for the UI that I can access? Update selection state is protected. Selection state is this normal highlighted, pressed, and disabled. Now, there's no update or override unless UI behavior has that. Maybe I'm doing that too soon. Actually, before I do that, let's just confirm that that's not going to happen, or that'll happen if I'm not already enabled. Because maybe I'm enabled too soon. So the canvas disables, I pop up, and yeah, my top left is set. So the only issue was that my this was happening before the canvas initially registers and gets disabled. So it set the focused element, it disabled the entire thing, and then when I popped it back on, my focused element was no longer set. But that does beg the question, if I don't even call that, what happens? Do I have my top left thing is not going to be set on focus? No. But what happens if I just press down? Is it going to navigate directly to the top left, or is it going to navigate to stun bash? No, it doesn't navigate to crap. There ain't nothing going on. So let's drop that in there, because that's fine as long as this is not enabled when I actually start the scene. Which now begs the next question, is how do I prevent navigation to UI elements that are not here? And the answer to that is fairly straightforward, right? I mean, those are not navigatable at all via controller. I mean, player info. There's a thing. Is it canvas group? Interactable is false. I think this does that. Yeah, it's not letting me navigate down to those controls at all. And let's just double check here that if I take damage, yeah, okay, so it is still interacting and doing stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Easy peasy. Okay, so that works out fine. Sliders are the only interactable thing in this scene. These images, I don't think images are interactable at all. And my navigation didn't seem to be going over there. It was really just those sliders that was the issue. And this moving log panel is just a empty panel filled up with text elements. Yeah, if I look at image, or rather, yeah, it's not. It doesn't inherit selectable. Slider does. Text does not. Yeah, text does not. Panel is not actually a class, despite being a prefab as part of the Unity system. So I think we are quite good on this front. All right, so that's navigation, and that's our initial selection setup. So now, let me take a look at this. And I need to be able to programmatically... So first off, this on-click. I'm going to do a test here. Oh yeah, because it has to be public. There we go. All right, now then. Okay, see now, oh, because I forgot I had it enabled because I was messing with it. Now if I hit submit on this, am I going to see my message pop up? And the answer is yes. That is clicking it. Perfect. So that's exactly what I expected. Now here's the trick. Yeah, here's the other thing I need to test. If I've got a button here, sorry, I'm trying to be conscientious with my recording here. I'm noticing that sometimes OBS just decides not to change focus over to my second monitor. I need to figure out what the deal is with that, but I'm trying to keep aware of that. It's been very sporadic, which is why sometimes you'll hear me talking about something that it sounds like I'm working in Unity, but it's not showing up on the recording. That's because I am working in Unity and it's not showing up on the recording. Yeah, one of life's mysteries. So I'll just have to spend a little time figuring that out later. But for the moment, I need to test if a disabled control will accept navigation, or will it skip right over? Because I do want to navigate through disabled controls. And what I mean by disabled is, I mean that the skill has already been unlocked and it can't be unlocked further. Now, if I can't do that, then I'm going to need to have the button still be interactable, but I'm going to have a different prefab for the objects that are already unlocked. And I'm going to set the selected color to one thing to show that that's the highlighted control, but my pressed color is going to be exactly the same, and I'm going to hijack whatever mechanism I use for handling the click so that you can't just click on skills that you've already unlocked. So for the moment, it does not look like I can set the state to disabled in here. At least not that I'm seeing. Yeah, and there's a visualizer for our control navigation. Which, yeah, and there's those lines leading down. So I guess I just need a button to disable. I know interactable does not mean disabled. Well, shoot. So how do I... How do I set this to disabled? Help me, Google. Tell me how to solve the problem. It is interactable. Allegedly. Okay. Well, egg on my face. It is interactable. So test disable, and let's go ahead and, oh, Why do you have an error? Cannot assign it as interactable because it is a... Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this OBS thing. So weird. But alright, so disabled control. We're going to test this with the dash element. Yeah, so dash is green and it's disabled. And okay, yeah, so being disabled, it does just skip right over. Well, that is not the behavior that I want. So let's think for a second. So I need to be able to navigate over all skills. I need to not be able to click skills that are already unlocked. I need a, in addition to what I've talked about so far, I need a preview or detail mechanism so I can see more information about the selected skill. I need to be able to click block skills to buy them. And what else do I need to be able to do? Navigate over all skills. If I click a skill that's already locked, it should do nothing. Style should show no action. So the pressed state needs to be the same as selected. So the control disguises itself and doesn't really seem like it's being pressed at all. Put that further down because we'll be dealing with that. It's kind of a second stage of this, having the preview thing. Now then, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much everything. So the next thing I need to be able to associate a skill with the button so I can have that information about whether the player's unlocked the skill or not. Now, I'm kind of debating. So for now, I'm doing this manual layout mechanism, but I would really like to have a system by which I can do an automatic layout. So I can just look at the skill repository and have it automatically lay out the controls and keep the related controls together and so on and so forth. But just like the preview, that is definitely a phase 2 type of deal. But there's no reason we can't plan ahead and figure out a way to do this. So first and foremost, I have a prefab for my bash skill, which is going to be a unlocked skill. What would you call this? Would you call this an unlocked skill node? Yeah, unlocked skill node. No, it's a so I'm calling it locked and unlocked, but that verbiage is kind of janky. Yeah, this is an available skill node, and I'm going to have a second one. I'm just going to duplicate right here, and this is going to be a purchased skill node. And just like I talked about earlier, the highlighted color and the pressed color are going to be the same. Except the normal color is going to be the disabled, which was what I kind of said was going to be the... So a skill that's been bought is going to be green. For the highlight, I'm actually going to go off of this a little bit. We're going to go to a brighter version of this. And our pressed color is going to be exactly the same there. And then similarly for this one, since the disabled doesn't do squat, yeah, I'll leave that alone for the moment. So let's go with this for the moment. So I'm going to have a serialized field, private button. I wonder if the button information will come over from the prefab. We'll find out here. So this is going to be purchased skill view info. And I'm going to have, what do I call this? Available skill view info. And those are both going to be buttons. This guy's going to update. And for the available skill, I'm going to pull in my prefab. Yeah, there we go. Put my customary error warnings here. So if this stuff isn't showing up in the editor, I can go back and see if that's a problem or not. Now I'm gonna go through the list of skills that the player has, and I need to match them to the button. And for all the buttons that are found, I need to pull the color information off of the purchase button. And for all of the items that are not found, I need to pull the purchase information off of the available skill button, or rather the color information. So I still need to associate each one of these with a skill name. And for the moment, bash, dash, stun, bash, attack 1, attack 2, attack 3. These all match the display names. I'm going to create a temporary mono behavior just so I can house the whatchamacallit, the name of the skill, the key, so that I can then match those up nicely rather than trying to go by the display name and finding the text element on the button. You know, doing something silly like that. So create our script, skill key. Skill node key. And for this guy, we're just going to go ahead and give him a nothing else. Now we're going to pop back in here. Available skill node. So I'm going to select my prefab. And actually, I'm going to put something here. Put the name of the game object in the editor console so I can know which one I failed to set it on. And since I set this on the prefab, all these guys will have this component now. So let's go ahead and set this guy bash, stun, bash, bash, attack 1, attack 2, and attack 3 in the editor. So now when I come in here, this guy, I need to apply my styles. So I'm going to do a for each transform So I'll loop over all the children directly underneath this element, which is going to be my unlock skills panel. And I need to do two things. I need to get my skill node key, And I need to get my button. So if button and node key are not equal to null, player.instance.skills. Unlock skills is a list of strings. Yeah, that's what I want. And does this contain So realistically, I'm using the available skill prefab to set all of my buttons initially. So they're already set to being available to purchase. So really I only want to set it if for performance sake, I only need to change the colors if the node key is found inside of the player's unlock skills. So if that is true, actually, we can further save ourselves some CPU cycles here. We only need to get the button if our player already has the skill. Button dot, and I should have all my colors here. Ooh. How do I set my colors? Button has a transition, target graphic, normal color. So transition is a color tint. And this is all under selectable. So transition. Yeah, so it has a color tint, is a type of transition, which is I get from that. But how do I set the colors? Oh, okay. So button.colors, so this color block has normal color, disabled color, selected color, a few other things. I should have looked at that a little bit more closely, to be fair. So button normal color is going to be equal to this dot, what do I call it? Purchased. Right? Is this guy going to yell at me? Cannot modify the return value of that because it is not a variable. You sure about this? Public color block colors. And it's a struct, so no, I cannot set that like that. because rather than being references, structs are value types, so they get copied when they're accessed. So, or rather, they're copied when they move through the stack. So, set all that there, apply styles, and that should be good. But let's double check what skills are we starting with, because I don't remember if the passive skills are being applied initially. So this should be part of one of these load test data. So load skill test data, unlock skills, attack 2, attack 3, bash, stun. And that's a problem because I didn't, I made dash available in the controls and it bypassed the unlock skills thing. Which is fine because it's test data, but yeah, I'm fine with that. From a workflow perspective in the game, there's not going to be a way to set those things to equip it if it's not been unlocked. So yeah, so dash and attack 1 were not unlocked, and I can navigate to them. And the highlight is the only thing there. When I hit the button, it does not select. When I press that, it does. So that is not bad. Now let's go a step further here. So we've got our colors being set up correctly, and we've got our navigations working fine. It's tied to our unlocked our unlocked skills are setting the style appropriately. So what is next? Navigate overall skills. Style should show no action. Press state needs to be the same as selected. Need to be able to click lock skills to buy them, and unlock and click skills that are already unlocked. Should do nothing. Now, yeah, so that's fine. So I'm already looping over every transformed child. I've got this node key. If the button is not equal to, so the player's instance unlock skills contains it, then we're grabbing the button and doing some stuff. However, now I'm going to want to add some stuff here. So if button is not equal to null, so we're going to set our style. And button dot click dot add listener. Yeah. Now what is a unity action? This is going to be a delegate of some kind. Yeah, it's a delegate. And what's the signature of this? It's just a void. So I always find it funny when people just use, I mean, it's just action, right? Action is the exact same signature. They just decided they wanted to call it a unity action, you know, for no freaking reason, as far as I can tell, other than trying to be cute with their namespaces. Yeah. Yeah, there's literally nothing else going on there. So we're going to do a I want to try adding this as private earlier, but I do know that private methods don't show up in the editor when you're trying to add listeners. But let's see if this is okay. So button, on click, add listener. We need to have a click for available skill clicked. And purchased skill clicked. Because thinking ahead, I feel like I'm going to want to navigate to the button, press once, and it's going to pop up the detail information. And either press again to purchase or press back to drop that window. But then again, I might also just have something off to the side. I know that for my screen here, there's going to need to be a certain amount of panning and zooming within this UI panel. And that is going to be pretty tricky to do, I think. I'm not sure exactly how to solve that yet. I'm going to have to do a little research on the matter. But for now, I'm going to put a available skill I'm going to unlock, and for a skill that's already purchased, I'm just going to do a debug.log to make sure the listener's being added. So in this case, we're looking at the purchase skill. So we're going to do a add listener, this.purchased skill clicked. Should be fine. Yeah, it's okay with this. Else, I don't need to change the style at all, since I'm not going to have a way to sell skills. Available skill clicked. Let's just go ahead and do that real quick. And we can look at this very easily. Like, first and foremost, when I pop this screen up and I look at the scene, I look at the button, there's nothing in here. Well, I mean, let's see what happens. Yeah, it did occur, it just didn't show up in the UI. Which I'm fine with. I don't care about it showing up in the editor. So we know that those are happening. Now, here's the trick. So if the available skill was clicked, I'm going to need to get his... Oh, well, here is a problem. Available skill clicked doesn't tell me anything about the button that was actually clicked. I don't get any... Like, I'm not getting any click information. I'm not getting the element that was clicked at all. I mean, technically, I can look at the selected item. Not Lou, he. Yeah, key, display name, description, and I guess now I also need a cost. Now, so far I've been skirting around the issue because I'm not sure exactly what the currency for buying a skill is going to end up being. But I'm going to go ahead and just say it's experience for now, because I do have an experience system, and while I'm showing it on the screen when I kill a set of enemies, I'm not actually adding it anywhere. So I'm going to need to add that real quick. But, int XP cost. Player.instance. Yeah. So player. So I made XP a part of the enemy inventory just because that was an easy way for me to grab it from the. It was easy to have all the stuff that can drop at the end of a battle, such as items or materials or whatever, be in the same place. So I just made it a part of my enemy inventory. Player inventory, however, I don't necessarily want to put the experience there. So let's just go ahead and int XP current XP, and we're going to make this a private set, and I have that add XP method. I don't know why that P is uppercase. That's what happens when you generate methods. If this dot current XP is less than or equal to 0, this dot current XP is equal to 0. Should never happen, but I'll just throw it in there for safety's sake, and I don't have a maximum. So first off, if this dot if player.instance.xp is greater than or equal to skillinfo.xp cost, add XP skill negative skillinfo.xp cost, player.instance dot unlock skills add the key. And now I need to do this bunch of stuff. I need to apply the style to the node. Yeah, let's go ahead and rework that a little bit. So private void apply style instead of styles. And I'm going to give it the game object target and boolean whether it's available or not. So button's not equal to null, then I need to button.onClick. Can I clear listeners? Remove all listeners. Great. If available, else. We're going to go ahead and grab this guy here, because the else is going to be him. It's not available, so it gets the purchased information as well as that listener. Otherwise, if it's available, we are going to go ahead and set the style. Yeah, so remove the listeners. If the item is available to be purchased, then it's available skill info. Otherwise, it gets the purchased. I'm going to go ahead and swap this up a little bit. So node key this dot apply style child dot game object false. This dot apply style I'm losing a little bit of efficiency, but I am gaining readability and reuse of code, which I think is a fair trade-off. This dot apply style game object, and available is now false. And purchase skill clicked is still going to do nothing. And I'm going to add that back in there, actually, just so I can track that. Since my navigation should not change when I purchase the skill, if I click the confirm button a second time, instead of getting available skill clicked, I should end up getting purchase skill clicked. So let's see what happens. And it worked exactly. When I pop back in, it knows that that's the skill that's there. Awesome. Spectacular. So now we have a mechanism by which we are unlocking our skills. And it was able to do that because the experience cost was still 0. So it's equal to my current XP. So I think at an hour in, that's where I'm going to leave it for this session. Next time we're going to go ahead and wire up our experience, and we're going to deal with... so now we have the unlock skills being added as well, so that's fine. So part of our next step is going to be equipping them to a button combination. And just to confirm, that takes care of the remainder of our to-dos here. Yes it does. Except for this preview thing, which, like I said, I'm going to need to think a little bit more about the design and what I want it to look like. So thank you for watching, and have a nice night.